What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, and we are bringing back 10 things to watch for your Philadelphia Eagles. And why not just start for our first preseason matchup against the Green Bay Packers. This series was a hit last year, getting Eagle fans absolutely hyped, having trolls come in just trolling like AIDS assholes. But we're going to be starting here with the preseason. It definitely will be a little bit different once the regular season starts, and we'll be talking much more in these lists about, you know, the other team. But because it's the preseason, I'm going to look at 10 battles and players to watch for every game in the preseason as we continue to go on. I assume new players are going to become, players are going to get cut, so we're definitely going to be kind of a rotating door of players to watch. But as we jump into the first game against Green Bay, let's try to get hype. Eagles football is back, baby, and here are the 10 things I'm looking for, and hopefully you guys will be too for you Eagle diehards. So at number 10, looks like no Alshon Jeffrey is going to be playing. I'm recording this a little bit early, about a week early, just because time constrictions and stuff. But it looks like by all reports, Alshon Jeffrey is not going to be playing this game. So now it's time for me to see what Nelson Agholor has. You would assume that, you know, Jordan Matthews and Torrey Smith. Maybe Jordan Matthews might miss out because he's had some knee issues, so they may try to limit his snap. But I assume Torrey Smith will probably be the top dog. So everything after that, it's going to be Agholor, Hollins. We'll talk about the wide receivers, but Agholor in particular, because all the beat reporters, all reports saying this is the best offseason they've ever had. Looks like a brand new player. He's turned the corner. He's getting ready to be like pull a Jordy Nelson, and in his third year, finally start to ball out. I want to see that shit. And the number one thing I don't want to see is when, you know, the second stringers come in, Agholor goes out. Right now, he 100% deserves to be a guy just like anyone else that's fighting for their starting spot. He does not have the luxury, the background, the pedigree to be coming out if, for say, Jordan Matthews and Torrey Smith are playing. When they come out, Agholor's ass still better be out there trying to make some goddamn plays and prove to this fan base and everyone, the coaches, his players, that he can be relied upon, and he truly has turned a leaf. But I need to see that. Going to number 9, the interior offensive line battle. Certainly not the most sexy thing to talk about, but as a diehard Eagle fan, it's something I want to get a little bit more clarity to. So we traded Alan Barbre to the Denver Broncos for, I don't know what it's going to be, 6th, 7th rounder. So basically the center spot between Jason Kelce and Wisniewski, that's a battle because even though you would assume Kelce's penciled in as a starter, he's certainly standing on thin ice. And if he has a bad game against Green Bay, a bad opening drive or two, you may see week 2 of the preseason Wisniewski getting that starting gig. And then it goes to the guard spot where Isaac Seumalo is penciled in as a starter. So then you get the battle with Wisniewski once again and Chance Warmack, because obviously no one's taking Brandon Brooks' spot. He's one of the best guards in football. But that other guard spot, I would say it's the left guard between Seumalo, Chance Warmack, and Wisniewski potentially. That is something that I certainly, as an Eagle fan, want to get a little bit more clarity on, and definitely this opening game against Green Bay could offer that. Going to number 8 is, can any outside linebacker make plays, very similar to how Joe Walker was a year ago, where everyone was hyped about Joe Walker, said, man, this guy looks like a freak. Can any of those outside linebackers make plays so that with Michael Kendricks, can we make him truly expendable? There's lots of trade talks that Michael Kendricks may be out of town. People are saying, oh, well, we're flipping for Kyle Fuller, yada, yada, yada. But as it stands right now, our outside linebacker depth as an Eagle fan, looking at the roster as a whole, unless we can flip Michael Kendricks for a guy that's 100% going to be an upgrade at the cornerback spot, our depth is not great enough that we can make a trade by removing Michael Kendricks, and I feel confident with the depth that we have. Camus Grugier-Hill, Najee Good, and Nate Gary, those are the 3 guys that I want to see at least one of them. We know we have in Najee Good. He's more a special teamer, but Camus Grugier-Hill, who's made a bunch of plays on special teams, are very, very freakishly athletic. And then Nate Gary's converted safety, looking to try to make some big plays and get some more minutes here and not get placed on the practice squad. If one of those 2 guys can emerge as like, man, this guy looks pretty goddamn good, then we can start talking about the Michael Kendricks trade talks. As it stands right now, if Nigel Bradham goes down or does something stupid in the offseason, or off the field anyway, offseason's pretty much done, but something stupid out the field, I mean, those guys there being starters for potentially extended period of time, I would much rather at this point have Michael Kendricks than those guys. So I'm definitely looking to see, you know, because these guys are probably going to get an assload of playing time on the defensive side of the things against pretty good quarterbacks. Every time we play Green Bay, I don't know if he's hurt. I have for some reason I think he's hurt, but I don't think he is. I just have a thing that someone's going, he's actually not playing, you idiot. But Brett Hundley always does really well for Green Bay in the preseason, so we're going up a pretty good backup quarterback that can really test and see what our backups are made of, especially at the linebacker spot. Number 7 is backup quarterback battle, question mark. I don't know what Nick Foles' availability is. I know he's missed a couple games, so then really potentially it's Foles versus McGloin for that spot. Obviously, we know what happens with Matt McGloin coming over from the Raiders. He wasn't really anything special. But again, if, throughout this preseason, it may start against Green Bay. Like I said, this is kind of the hindrance of doing it so early. I don't know what the availability of Foles will be. But assuming if that is a battle, if Matt McGloin outplays Nick Foles has a decently sized quarterback contract. So, if we are still trying to free up cap to make some moves, if McGloin looks serviceable enough, Nick Foles could be a guy that gets beat out in this competition, is on the short end of the stick for making the final roster as we try to clear some cap to maybe and hopefully, swear to God, try to bring in another corner. Number 6 is a player to watch on the defensive side of things. Obviously, Derek Barnett is a name that we want to see, so I'm not going to go with the obvious. I'm going kind of like a sleeper, and that's Terrence Brooks. So much like where the beat reporters are saying Nelson Aguilar has looked outstanding, every single time, it seems like everything from Bleeding Green Nation to the actual Eagles beat reporters in Philly are ranting and raving that Terrence Brooks looks exceptional. Obviously, he's going to be tougher to find a lot of playing time behind Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod. But if he plays good enough, maybe he can be trade bait. Maybe he's got a hot commodity that team's like, all right, we'll give you kind of an up-and-coming corner if you give us Terrence Brooks because we desperately need safety help or something like that. But I want to see what Terrence Brooks can offer. I assume he's going to get plenty of playing time. And maybe, he could kind of pull... what the fuck's his name? The safety that's on Cleveland now. He went to Stanford. He made literally every preseason. It seemed like he made 2 or 3 interceptions over the last 2 years, and he could never make the roster. Oh, that pissed me off. I can't remember his name. Someone's gonna fucking comment it. But maybe Terrence Brooks can fill that void. Number 5 is looking on the offensive side of things. What player do I want to see? The obvious one would always be Carson Wentz. We're not going to talk about that. He's probably going to get a drive or 2 max. So I'm bringing it back to Donnell Pumphrey. I want to see what he can offer to this team right now as a rookie. It seems like they're moving him all over the field, not just as a running back. They're trying to use him out of the backfield as a catching back. Because even though by his size, and if you look at it without really diving in, you're like, oh, clearly he's a receiving back. He fucking ran the ball like goddamn Jerome Bettis at San Diego State. So... there's reports that they're trying him out as a slot as well. So I'm very intrigued to see what Donnell Pumphrey does, and I assume he's going to get plenty of playing time in this game, along with, I would assume, Wendell Smallwood and Corey Clement. But I definitely want to see what Pumphrey can bring. Goal number 4, it's Joe Walker returns. Is he still a stud? Last preseason, it was the Joe Walker show. Joe Walker looked like a monster, looked like the kind of guy that, definitely, I wouldn't say could push Jordan Hicks, but he looked like the kind of guy that's like, man, maybe we might have to slide Jordan Hicks outside and have Joe Walker play inside. He looked like a freak beast. He's the overhyped guy. I can admit myself, I have overhyped Joe Walker. But he played really, really, really good. I definitely want to see what he can bring to this team. Like I said, I don't necessarily know what you want to do with the Jordan Hicks. But if Joe Walker looks like, man, this guy's legit as hell. I mean, Jordan Hicks certainly has the athletic ability to play outside linebacker in our scheme, and without a doubt has the coverage ability to play outside to cover the likes of tight ends and slot. I even think I'd fucking slower. If you have a bigger slot wide receiver, I would stick Jordan Hicks on them. I would feel pretty damn confident with that, and then it gives you more opportunities to blitz from the outside with Jordan Hicks. As we know, the Cowboy killer, man, he hits a quarterback. There's a pretty good probability they're going down with an injury. So that's definitely something that could potentially happen. May not be this year, but the seedlings could be planted if Joe Walker has a good preseason once again to potentially shuffle the linebackers in the future. Goal number 3 is going to be the defensive line battles. Elijah Qualls and Destiny Vaio for defensive tackle. Obviously, you got to talk about the battles because that's really what you want to watch. I think both those guys could be vying for the last defensive tackle spot. And looking at defensive end, outside of Vinny Curry, hopefully does impress a little bit. His spot should be safe. So then it comes down to Tim Means and Alex McAllister. That spot has freed up potentially when we cut Marcus Smith, who's now going to Seattle. So Means, who looked pretty good last preseason, McAllister as a Florida Gator homer, put on weight. Definitely looks like a project-type player. It's going to be interesting to see that battle, the defensive end spot. But just D-line battles in general, those are positions, kind of like we were talking about the interior offensive line at the top of the video, is something that we definitely would like to get more clarity, and that will start here against Green Bay. Going to number 2, everyone as the depth spot at wide receiver needs the ball out. Aguilar, Mac Hollins, Shelton Gibson, Marcus Johnson, Greg Ward, Bryce Treggs. They're out of those names, 3 of them will probably make the roster. This is, because of how we played last year at the wide receiver spot, this is going to be a fucking bloodbath of an open competition. Because I think straight up, none of these guys have merits. I think from the reports, Matt Collins probably will make the roster of all these guys. But the rest of these dudes, obviously Aguilar's playing more so for time. He's not going to get cut with his salary hit. But everyone else, man, you have to play. I think Philadelphia is in no way to just go off reputation for any of these guys. Whoever stands out in preseason, even throw in Paul Primetime Turner, last year's preseason stud. these guys are all going to be fighting for potential starting minutes. Like, you're telling me right now, if Marcus Johnson gets 100 yards a game, he fucking might end up as our wide receiver 3. That wide receiver 3 spot on the Eagles is 100% still up for grabs, and that is meaningful goddamn minutes and very important to this offense. So these are the guys that are going to be getting plenty of playing time, and it's open. It's a wide open competition for that wide receiver spot. Even though we did talk about Nelson Aguilar at the top, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Matt Collins out of all these guys, lead the charge and get that wide receiver 3 spot kind of out of nowhere. Marcus Johnson and Greg Ward have been exceptional in camp. Gibson's had Nelson Aguilar drop a So definitely an area position, clearly, as Eagle fans, that we need to improve. And it's definitely a battle you got to watch. And number 1, cornerbacks, just show anything. All these corners should be playing. I don't see any corner here that's like, oh, he's our starter, let's haul him out. These guys have to go out there and just show us something. Again, when we're mentioning Green Bay, you may get a drive from Aaron Rodgers, but then they're going to be bringing in Brett Hundley, who usually balls out in the preseason anyway. So they're going to be attacking our corners, and we're going to get, great idea, kind of what we're dealing with, because I think you should be playing all these guys who may be our starters, and you're going to see them going up against maybe one of the best backup offenses, second-string offenses in football in Green Bay. So we're going to see our starters going up against second stringers. They should be able to shut them out. If they don't, we're going to get plenty of more clarity at the cornerback spot, and then may have to increase our urgency, if you will, of improving the cornerback spot via trade or free agency. But definitely, corners and wide receivers, once again, for another year, second year straight, is the big talking point for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I want to see what they got. Like Rick and Morty, show me what you got. But let me know what you guys think. What are you hoping for this Philadelphia versus Green Bay preseason Week 1 game? Let me know. This is your first time stopping by. Don't be afraid of that subscribe button. Eagles content all season long, as well as just, general football content. It's a good time here, so subscribe if you want to be along for the ride. And until next time, guys, it's C4 saying peace out.